Hello, colleagues. Welcome, everyone, to the Local and Regional Governments Consultation towards WUF13, which is co-organized by the GTF, Local2030 Coalition, and UN Habitat. Thanks a lot for joining and being here today with us as we collectively shape the next World Urban Forum. But before we dive into the session, allow me to go over a few housekeeping rules. So first of all, the meeting will be conducted in English. Please make sure that you have your camera on and you mute yourself. We will have a co-creation segment later on, so we would like to hear from you, and please feel free to engage by either raising your hand or sharing your thoughts in the chat. We will be tracking both of them. The session will start with an opening, followed by a presentation about the WUF engagement process, as well as a presentation on the concept note of the Local and Regional Governments Roundtable. And this will be before we get to the core of today's session and the aim of today's session, which is hearing from you and having a dynamic co-creation moment that you will be asked to share your opinion on the priorities, on the content of the Local and Regional Governments Roundtable. So without further ado, allow me to pass the floor to Sébastien Bauzel, the head of the Local2030 Coalition Secretariat. Seb, over to you.
Thank you, Marta, and welcome everyone. And before starting my remarks, I just want to thank you, Marta, also the team in Nairobi, UN Habitat, the team here, Inigo, Enrico, and our colleagues from the Global Task Force, Giacomo, Albert, Anna, that have done a great job at preparing this event and also at gathering working as one. I think this is a tribute to participatory processes, and today is one more milestone towards the WUF. I want also to acknowledge and thank some of our colleagues in Latin America. I see our colleagues from Paraná, connected, Buenos Aires, many others also that registered from Latin America. It must be 6 p.m., maybe 8 in your different countries. So thank you for waking up early and being with us. And also the ones in Asia that where it's already late and probably they are connecting from home. I see Yokohama and colleagues from Philippines and others. So thank you very much to all of you. And let me start without further ado. First, I want to stress the fact that with the leadership of UN Habitat and the co-leadership of the Global Task Force, we are co-organizing this process of consultation because we want to enhance the participatory character, the participatory approach of the whole process leading to the WUF, but also throughout this big year for cities and region, which is 2026 with the new urban agenda in review, with SDG 11, etc. So taking advantage of this to ramp up the dialogue amongst multiple stakeholders and the participation of local and regional governments in these processes of dialogue, in the feedback and the shaping and the design of the global agendas, as we have done already in 2025, with a total of 1,500 stakeholders participating in the lead up to FFD4 in Seville on financing, the COP30 in Belém on climate, the World Social Summit in Doha on social development, and continues towards the World Urban Forum now with the road to Baku that will lead us, and that this workshop is part of, but that lead to a wide engagement of many stakeholders and above all a constant dialogue. I think this is what's important. Stop seeing the moments as a one-off standing item along the way, but really as a culminating moment in a constant process of dialogue with local and regional governments. And today we will talk about the roundtable. Of course, this is the purpose. We had already other moments to talk about different aspects of the WUF, and you provided your feedback and ideas, but also on how to strengthen this dialogue in a constant manner with the WUF as a culminating moment, but a continuity towards other WUF and other moments in the global agenda. And this is all about empowering local and regional governments, which is key. It's key not only to UN Habitat, to the Global Task Force, it's key and widely acknowledged by member states, by cities, regions, different players around the world, to respond to a global context that is, to say the least, characterized by uncertainty regarding sustainable development. And every player in the arena is acknowledging that we need to change the approach from a macroeconomic approach, one size fits all, to a bottom-up approach, what we call a territorial approach, and we will talk about it today, that is multi-level, that is bottom-up, that is responding to local priorities, prioritizing local impact to foster systems change, for better lives, for empowered lives. So with a very concrete impact, not only at policy level, but also in terms of service delivery, in terms of economic opportunities, in terms of local climate action, in terms, of course, of housing, which is the main theme of the WUF and which we will discuss today, and ultimately in terms of regenerating, renewing the social contract, rebuilding trust with citizens. And this can happen first and foremost and start at local level with you, local and regional governments in the front line, but also gathering around you and leading engagement of multiple stakeholders, civil society organizations. I see some here, I see UNHCR, other colleagues, private sector entities, universities, and I see some too, youth, etc. So I don't want to be too long, but this is where this moment today is a part of a bigger effort to engage local and regional governments and empower them to have a voice on the global arena and provide solutions to global crises. The housing crisis, yes, but also geopolitical crisis, socio-economic, climate crisis that are overlapping and reinforcing each other. And a lot of the solution lies within local level and local spaces. So in the last consultation, we gathered priority themes from you for the WUF, from localized financing for housing, multi-level governance and accountability mechanisms, territorial approach and rural-urban linkages, integrated planning, community-driven climate-resilient housing solution. And today we will go a step further in defining the modalities of the roundtable and also this constant, how to strengthen this constant dialogue amongst ourselves. So without further ado, I declare this workshop open and I give it back to the MC, Marta, to continue with the program. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Seb, and thanks for your remarks. As you are mentioning, today it's all about multi-level governance, about the bottom-up, about really responding to local priorities. And that's why I would like to give the floor now to Aditya Kumar, the senior stakeholder expert at UN Habitat, that will provide a short brief on the stakeholder engagement process that we are working on towards WUF. So over to you, Adi.
Thank you so much, Martha, and thank you, Sebastian, for the opening remarks. So I'll talk you briefly through the stakeholder engagement process that UN Habitat and the GTF and other partners are going through as a build-up to the World Urban Forum. So Martha, can you please go to the next slide, please? The next one, please. Okay, so I guess maybe to start, for those who don't know the World Urban Forum, the World Urban Forum is one of the premier conferences on urban issues. It's one of the largest UN events that brings together civil society, private sector, academia, governments at all levels from national to local government. And this year, the World Urban Forum is taking place in Baku in Azerbaijan from the 17th to the 22nd of May. Now, this particular WUF is a crucial WUF. As Sebastian mentioned, the geopolitical crisis, the climate crisis, compounded by like currency turmoil, has had a very significant impact on housing and land and basic services, as many of you who are local practitioners or working in local government are very aware of. So this year's WUF, the theme is definitely centered and completely centered on the issue of housing, land, and basic services, very much linked to the UN Habitat Strategic Plan. And what you'll see there is the theme right at the bottom, housing the world, safe and resilient cities and communities. So a combination of emphasis on like how we govern cities, and how we manage delivery, but also focusing a lot on how we manage this process in a way that balances community interests and builds communities. Next slide, please, Martha. So if you haven't attended a World Urban Forum in the past, there are several events that are organized as part of the World Urban Forum. The most important piece to remember, the largest segment of the World Urban Forum is partner-led. So it is driven by people like yourselves, by practitioners, by local governments, by civil society, and that is the bulk. Almost about 80% of the World Urban Forum is run through partner events and through partner sessions, networking events, and so on. But this year, the format is slightly different in the front end. So the first piece that's important to mention is that there will be a special ministerial meeting on the new urban agenda, which is going to be really crucial in determining kind of the next steps in terms of like implementation, tangible actions, and commitments from national governments. There are 6 dialogues being organized this year, and many of them focus on themes that have emerged out of the long stakeholder consultation that UN Habitat has gone through. And these include exploring the housing crisis, exploring the nexus of climate action and housing, exploring issues of socioeconomic benefits of housing, and so on, and a very specific emphasis on housing finance, which will be of great interest to, I'm sure, many of you. Then there are special sessions which are again organized on cross-cutting themes, and this year there's a large number of themes around waste management, but also looking at resilience and building materials and so on. So we can share a list on the chat of the various dialogues and special sessions so that you can have a sense, and you can have a look at the WUF website to get a sense of where and what types of events are taking place. Over and above, there will be roundtables and assemblies that are organized with different constituencies, the local and regional governments being one of the roundtables, which we'll be discussing further today. And then there are a host of other roundtables which are very specific to constituencies. So roundtables with civil society, roundtables with people with disabilities, women, on issues of women's representation, also on children and youth, and so on. And last but not the least, very important to mention, there is a large expo space that has been organized at Azerbaijan in Baku. And this expo space is an excellent opportunity for local government and people who interface with local government to exhibit their work, to showcase what they're busy with and the kind of impact they're having in their own cities and in their own communities. Next slide, please, Martha. Thank you. So just as a build-up in terms of like the WUF13, some of you may be familiar with this. This is quite an unprecedented process within UN Habitat that has been undertaken in terms of the road to Baku. So you'll see that we've had a first global stakeholder dialogue back in October, where we had initial consultations, which Sebastian mentioned earlier, including with the local and regional governments, to get a better understanding of the issues and priorities that we should focus on at the World Urban Forum. And along with a number of events that took place within UN Habitat, like the open-ended working group, the New Urban Agenda midterm review, we're finding ourselves in the early part of the year talking a lot about with wider groups of stakeholders around the composition of the roundtables and assemblies. And this is one area that is really crucial to have a strong impact from the local voices. to influence not just the speakers, but also the format, the programming, the kind of outcomes that we want to see out of the roundtables and assemblies. And then we're hoping that in the month of March and early April, we'll also have another consultation with this grouping, with the LRG grouping, with GTF and many of the other stakeholders, specifically on the Baku call to action, which is a very crucial point to determining what are the kind of outcomes we want to see from the entire World Urban Forum that will take place in Baku. And then, of course, in May, there'll be the World Urban Forum, which will lead into many of the other high-level political forums, but also in the review of SDG 11 and the New Urban Agenda reporting. So this stakeholder process is going to continue beyond WUF so that there is a constant dialogue, like Sebastian mentioned, between stakeholders, specifically local and regional governments, and UN Habitat and GTF and others. Next slide, please. And just very quickly, I think Sebastian very briefly mentioned some of these things. So we've had consultations, like I mentioned, with large number of groups. So on the right, you'll see the 2 overall priorities that have emerged across all the 11 major stakeholder groups. So the first one has been a very strong emphasis on deepening global solidarity and voice in this time of the poly crisis that we face. So key emphasis on partnerships, collective action, looking at local priorities, and really working together in forming a kind of global coalition towards housing, land, and basic services. And then the second one, which I think has very strong resonance with this group, is really a strong emphasis on tangible actions and concrete solutions. And I think this is a crucial part where local and regional governments play a critical role in defining what practices work, what policies work, how to shape policy, but also influence implementation practices that will hopefully accelerate delivery and so on. And on the left, you'll see some of the outcomes that came from the first engagement that we had between October and November with the local and regional governments. And these themes were a synthesis of all the comments that we received during that consultation. Really strong emphasis on localizing financing for housing, on how local governments can influence, implement, and interact with the housing value chain. We all know that the multi-governance has been a huge challenge in the past, but I think a strong emphasis for this team to deliberate on multi-level governance. A very kind of strong focus on the territorial and regional lens to look at urban-rural linkages, and not to forget mid-sized towns and cities, which often do not make it into the bigger debates. And then the last 2 focusing much more on integrated planning and resilient housing in terms of what are the ways in which we can drive community-led adaptation, stronger digital planning tools, use of data, use of technology as a way of influencing outcomes at the local level. So that's it from my side, Martha, back to you, and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Adi, and thanks for this overview. As you mentioned, I think it's very crucial that today we are here to hear from all of the local and regional governments, as well as to work together for shared priorities, not only towards WUF, but also beyond that. So now I would like to pass the floor to Martino Miraglia, SDG Cities and Multilevel Governance Coordinator at UN Habitat, to deep dive on how we are going to share these priorities together. So Martino, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Marta, and great to see lots of us connected. I can see on my teams that 96 are connected today. It's pretty impressive. Really beautiful to see everyone wanting to engage. I am in charge of the fun part, so as a first step, I will kindly ask you, everyone, if possible, to turn on your cameras, if you can, of course, not mandatory, but we would like to take a picture. These are very important moments that we would like to document for what's next, bringing us towards WUF. So I can see a lot of you already turning the cameras. I can see also Gaia somewhere probably taking a snapshot.
Are you switching my camera from your end?
I cannot, Anthony, unfortunately. I can't, Anthony. I can't see it.
I'm turning it on from my end. I don't know why.
Well, we can take another picture a bit later as you try to fix your camera. But are we all in? Then 1, 2, 3. Big smile, everyone. Fantastic. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Martino,
yes.
There's 2 pages, no? Maybe you need to take the 2 pages because I think we are a lot and we are not all in the same page. On the same pages, but not in the same.
Gaia, you let me know if it's okay.
Yes, everybody captured.
Fantastic. Excellent. Beautiful to see you all and to see your faces in incredible attendance today. And so the first part, the first part of the fun part is gone. And we go to the second one, which is a little Mentimeter. We would like really to kickstart a bit the entering in the nitty-gritty of today's session with a little bit of reflections from your end. Adi, Seb, colleagues, Marta have already shared some thoughts. We've seen what was emerging out of the first consultation. Now, if you can access the Mentimeter by clicking also in the link on the chat, we would like to ask you, local and regional governments are essentials to WUF13 because they lead effective transformation, I guess, and have the know-how. Very true. We will probably hear some reflections around know-how, capacities, the enabling conditions, lead on urban development, indeed the mandate on planning and urban development within their territories, lead local delivery. I see a lot of leading. Our key stakeholders localize the SDGs, are the closest part of the public institution to communities, engage politically. Again, they are the nearest to people, so the closeness of local governments to the needs and contexts are closer to know communities' needs, are the drivers of implementing change, forefront of transforming, decision makers, ultimately create impact. I like that one. If I can still see, turn commitments into real change, have the mandated knowledge, and so on. I think that is, if I can, without going through all of this, I think that there is a lot on action, there is a lot of impact, there is a lot of closeness to the context, there is a lot of know-how, there is a lot of engagement, delivery, and I think this is great. As colleagues, some of the really, these are the common thread that we would like to bring with us as we move forward in the discussion in how we collectively deliver in the system framework that Sebastian has highlighted through empowering local governments in advancing adequate housing, land and basic services, and ultimately the localization of the SDGs. So maybe moving forward, these priorities, and if we can go back to the slides, have also been at the center of some of the discussions of the roundtables for local and regional governments. Your priorities, colleagues, are to be shaped within the World Urban Forum, and today's discussion will also feed into collectively co-creating the roundtable of local and regional governments. We have highlighted just the past 3 for the sake of time, but this is a tradition. The roundtables are really at the center of the WUF agenda. During WUF10, we discussed about effective multi-level governance for the implementation of the agenda. During WUF11, we have reimagining the management and the governance of cities, while WUF12, which was on local action and localization, focused very much the discussion on the role of local and regional governments on advancing localization. So what about WUF13? So when we go, if we can go ahead in the next slide, the local and regional governments roundtable in WUF13, as we are imagining it, is really trying to think in the direction of how we create partnerships and pathways for action to enhance, discuss, and bring together collective support to the role of local and regional governments in addressing adequate housing, safe, land, basic services, and eventually advancing safe and resilient cities and communities. We will try to, we thought about putting at the center, of course, the discussion around the priorities and role of the constituencies, but also try to deep dive into scale up local solutions that can help in accelerating impact and financing, and ultimately identifying the enabling conditions for defining effective multi-level governance systems, but also aligning data planning, financing to deliver at the local level. The roundtable is entitled for the moment, Empowering Local Action, Adequate Housing and Resilience Communities, Strengthening Multi-Level Governance for a Sustainable Future. And as Sebastian has mentioned, and as we will hear from Inigo just in a moment, this is aligned with the Road to Baku, which is the mobilization effort that the Local2030 Coalition is trying to push forward, aligning the different stakeholders to deliver on the same shared agenda. It contributes to advancing and implementing the priorities of the Secretary General report on Action 55E. For those that are familiar with the UN system, this is the report that suggests how to reframe and strengthen the relations between the local regional governments constituency and the UN system in a renewed multilateralism. This consultation and roundtable will contribute to the midterm review of the new urban agenda and of course to the SDG 11. In terms of format, the roundtable follows a classical structure. We have 2 hours at our disposal, and we have initially thought about proposing 2 panels and around 12 speakers to keep the discussion dynamic. Dear colleagues, this is a bit the very summary of the framework of the local and regional governments roundtable. We would like to hear from you whether which are your priorities, whether you have substantive comments on the format. You have been shared the roundtable concept note in the chat for those that have not seen it before, in case you want to consult it and deep dive a bit more into the details. With that, I'll send it back to our MC for the next phase of the session. And thank you. Glad to see you all.
Thank you, Martino, and thanks for the overview on the roundtable. I think it's very relevant for us today to really hear from you on your thoughts on anything that you think it's important for this roundtable to be shaped. So now I would like to pass the floor to really the core of the session, the strengthening content and session design. So I'll pass the floor to Inigo Arbiol, Deputy Head of the Local2030 Coalition, to kickstart the moderation. So over to you, Inigo.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you, everyone. Good to see so many people, 100 people already connected now. Very good news. Just on this next segment of today's session, the idea is to hear your voices. This consultation is precisely to encourage that the roundtable responds to the local regional governments and local stakeholders' expectations, needs, right? So that we really connect, right? There are 2 blocks that we're going to be distributing. Let's say some guiding questions, right? In this next 45 minutes. Let's see if we can take a little bit longer or not. But the idea in these 2 blocks is to raise on the first block your opinions, your inputs on the format, on the panels, dialogues, structure, distribution, on the proposed topics that Martino has introduced, and you have it in the chat. Also on the on how this, whether there are any gaps that you identify, or maybe overemphasize the issues, right? Or even if there are any critical issues you consider are missing, and we could still incorporate to the concept note and to the proposal of the roundtable, right? And that is the same idea in block number 1 and block number 2, is to hear your voices and make sure that whatever is shaped, however shaped, it responds to your constituency and your let's say, your expectations for the WUF local and regional governments roundtable. In block number 2, which will be moderated by Ana Calvete from UCLG, you will be addressing more the specific role of that could regional and local governments play, and how they can effectively support actions at the national and regional levels, connecting multi-level as suggested by other colleagues before. Also solutions that address obviously housing challenges, but in connection with housing challenges, the other elements are essential for SDGs, levers, opportunities, right? So we would encourage you to raise your hands if you want to participate, and also to choose one of the blocks, as we are already 102 people. And keep it also, let's say, maximum of 2 minutes per intervention, right? This is, and let me finish with this. This is just, this is not the only consultation, or maybe this is not the only option for you to intervene. Today we are doing this to see whether we are well aligned with your expectations and everything. And also we'll have the possibility for all of you to engage in the Road to Baku, the local way engagement process that you, some or many of you are aware of. This is steered by the Local2030 Coalition. That is the UN system-wide platform for localization. And the idea is that together with a policy brief created by 14 UN entities, we gather solutions that are really delivering in terms of housing and the connected issues with housing, right, at the local level. We did this, as you can see, if colleagues, if you can maybe put the slide, as you can see, we did this for F54, we did this for the World Social Summit, also for COP, and we call them Road to Seville, Road to Doha, Road to Belen, and now we are in the Road to Baku. We encourage you to participate, and together with policy recommendations issued by the policy brief of the UN colleagues, come to WUF and try also to be substantively contributing to the Baku call for action, which is the implementation phase that will come after Baku, right? And connecting these two elements, local solutions, realities, etc., with global fora in a way of shaping the global agendas, right? So I don't know if you colleagues can, otherwise maybe we can move to your participation. So I'll encourage you to raise your hands if you want to participate, and I will be giving you the floor one by one, right? So thank you very much.
Inigo, I see a few hands. I see Marine and Yunus.
Sorry, we cannot see the. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, now I can see that. Okay, we'll start with Marine Gaudron. Please, Marine.
Yes. Hello, thank you. My name is Marine Gaudron, and I work for Council of European Municipalities and Regions, so European section of UCLG. Unfortunately, I cannot stay long, so I start. I wanted to share today some of the priorities of CMR regarding housing issues, because housing is a very critical topic in Europe at the moment, and we are currently finalizing our position with key messages. And so for us, the priorities are really about unlocking the investment capacities of local and regional governments for housing. The second issue is about urban planning and access to land for local and regional governments. The third is about facilitating permitting for constructions and shortening, so to say, the delays of permitting. And then the fourth is really about the multi-level governance approach, because we see that housing, it cannot be solved at just one level. We really need full cooperation at all levels. So that's the main points for European section, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We now pass the floor to Yunus Arikan, please.
Thank you. This is Yunus Arikan from ICLE, Local Governments for Sustainability. I'm the Director of Global Advocacy. Congratulations to our colleagues at UN Habitat, Local2030, and Global Task Force for convening us. It's perfectly timely. A couple of weeks ago with the UN Habitat Climate Team, we also have highlighted the importance of engagement of the urban climate community at the WUF13. ICLE has been involved in this process, of course, as a lead partner of the Global Task Force. So I would like to comment on Block 1, as you recommended, and 3 points. First of all, in the concept note, first of all, we are happy with the format. It is helpful, and we look forward to outcomes. But in terms of the substance, 3 points. First, we recommend the debate on housing to be much more connected to the climate, land, nature agenda on the 3 Rio Conventions, which will be the super year this year with the 3 COPs in Armenia, in Mongolia, and Turkey. But not just because of the overlap that there's a COPs agenda, but also UN Habitat strategy that was adopted 2 years ago or last year has much more relevance to climate action, much more relevance to nature and urban biodiversity and land planning, of course. This WUF13 should be emphasizing the connection between the housing agenda in relation to these 3 Rio Conventions in order to strengthen that it is much concretely implemented, much more effectively reaching to the resources and much more impactful. Second point on that connection, we would like to recommend that the debate is also connected to the UN, not just the Article 55E, but also the UN 80 reforms, because you remember Article 55E was in the summit of the Pact for the Future, but after the UN 80 General Assembly, a new process has begun. And in the work packages of the UN 80, there's one reference to environment, and it is led by UNEP and UNFCCC. And that's one of the reasons why connecting housing discussions to 3 conventions could be helpful for UN Habitat agenda as well. And thirdly, and that will be my last point, the agenda timing is very good at the beginning of the year. Before we go to New York, there will be UN climate talks in Bonn, and ICLE has been partnering with UN Habitat, of course, in the COPs. So we recommend to bring the discussions to the climate debate here in Bonn before New York City, and Azerbaijan will also host the Climate Week in October, so that Baku will again play an important role as part of CHAMP and Baku-30 Coalition. So let's make sure the Habitat agenda, the Habitat partners are also aware more concretely of this in connection to the housing discussion. I'm very happy that so many members of ICLE and ICLE managers and Global Task Force partners are here, so probably they can contribute, but I just wanted to stick to the 2 minutes limitation, and many thanks for all your efforts.
Thank you, Yunus. Thanks a lot. And thank you also for using the 2 minutes slot, right? We also have here, there is Alessandro, right? Please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I am Alessandro Tolico. I am Executive Director of the Province of Potenza in Italy and also coordinator of the MCR 2030 Resilience Hub initiative here in Potenza. Congratulations, first of all, to the great job done until now. I think that the 2 blocks, the session is well combined because these are the main points in which we are working still 20 years now. And in the last couple of years, we are updating our master plan, our regional master plan, by also working on a strong partnership with all the stakeholders, meaning ranging from the government and also the private sector, the university, the academia, scientific research, also the civil society organization. So I think that the teams are well connected. What I want to stress is to stress the importance, because we are talking about housing, so people. So the importance of merging together the development, regional development, with also disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. This is what we are doing, and this is what we can also highlight in case we will be engaged in, because I propose to have a session, an event there in the view and at the World Urban Forum, just to illustrate why these mechanisms are important to be activated in order to have a concrete and actual progress in affordable housing and in the security of the people living in our territory. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you, Alessandro. Thanks a lot. We also have some people in the chat that might want to take the floor. Let me just, sorry. Arantxa, please.
Hi, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to participate in this session. I'm Arantxa, Director of UNETEA and part of the Basque Country Hub. Just to reinforce some of the themes that I think very important that are already included, but to make sure that this is a strategic opportunity not only for this year, as was mentioned before, but also looking to the coming years ahead. And I think it's very important that the outcomes and the outputs of this event highlight how local and regional governments and the articulation, so the multi-level governance at the local and regional level, are key, looking towards the post-2030 agenda, to the UN80, and also how this housing and public service provision from local and regional governments are key for human rights accomplishment. And I think in that sense, that will give a strong position from this outcome, not only for this process, but the coming years process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks a lot. We also have some, as I mentioned, not that I want to put anyone on the spot, but as we have also some colleagues have introduced themselves in the chat, from, for example, Andrea and Florencia from Provincia de Buenos Aires, maybe if they want to take the floor. And we also have a raised hand here. Let me, Eva Garcia Chueca, please.
Yes, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to participate in this meeting. As Inigo mentioned, my name is Eva Garcia Chueca, and I am a representative of the Metropolitan Government of Barcelona. And in this regard, I want to start by applauding the fact that the concept note introduces the idea of the metropolitan, which was lacking in previous documents, and in previous meetings, I had the opportunity to insist on the importance of having this look, because today the urban phenomena expresses in a metropolitan way. So thank you for incorporating this stance in the documents that you are now requesting us to give feedback on, and about the different questions that you provided in this block 1, and thinking about maybe the gaps, I would say, and connecting this question of the gaps with the different objectives and guiding questions that you're proposing in the concept note. In one of the questions, you are asking about the mechanisms and the policy frameworks that are needed to strengthen cooperation between local, regional, and national governments. And from our perspective, we would say It is important, of course, to think about the mechanisms and the policy frameworks, but do not forget institutional structures. And why are we proposing to introduce also this aspect? Because without formal and stable institutional arrangements that make multi-level governance operational, these mechanisms and these policy frameworks often cannot be effectively implemented. And this is particularly relevant in metropolitan areas. Metropolitan governance requires institutions that are capable of coordinating policies and of safeguarding cohesion within a same territory. So without this institutional dimension, we think that cooperation might tend to remain ad hoc, fragmented, and overly dependent on temporary political will. So our suggestion would be to explicitly ask also about these institutional arrangements that are needed, both in these questions, guiding questions that you're proposing speakers to answer, and also in the whole concept note where this institutional aspect is not dealt with. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eva. Thanks a lot. Meanwhile, I would encourage also colleagues that have been introducing themselves in the chat, maybe from Chandragiri municipality, Nepal, also the government of the province of Buenos Aires that I see connected. Also, the Pan-African Vision from Lagos, Nigeria. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but we know that your solutions and your inputs are super interesting and to be shared with the group. Unless I mean, we are more or less on the calculated 20 minutes, but before I go into the block number 2 and pass the floor to Anna, maybe just give the last chance to if somebody wants to address question number 1, and if not, of course, you can raise your hands for the second block, right? That, as we mentioned before, it's more on solutions, and so unless there's somebody else. Yes, we do have a few. Maybe Anthony Akpan, you raise your hand.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, regarding to block 1, I think the format is okay.
Maybe Anthony, if you can introduce yourself. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, my apologies. My name is Anthony Akpan, and I work with the Pan-African Vision for Environment. We are an NGO based in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you very much. So I was saying that for the block 1, the proposed for roundtable format, it's fine. And what I didn't see is, excuse me, like, what about if organizations want to do like side events, I mean, related to these themes? Or are we just looking at this proposed roundtable and theme? Public housing. Yeah, the topics to housing particularly resonate from our own perspective, particularly in the context of the ongoing random demolitions and evictions, going around in the urban renewal process around coastal communities in Lagos. I think that urban team, maybe you can have some teams like maybe focusing on slum areas so that all those kind of issues can be highlighted instead of the overall housing can subsume the issues around the slum area. So perhaps we can have specific topic or session on slums so that we highlight the issues around the slum communities around the world. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Anthony. Thanks a lot. And sorry for putting you in the spot, right? Maybe we can continue with Ariel Dekovic.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Ariel Dekovic. I'm head of communications and engagement at ICLEI and the focal point of the UNFCCC for the local governments and municipal authorities constituency. And I just wanted to echo what my colleague Eunice talked about with connections to the climate agendas. Particularly, we had a very strong outcomes summary or chair summary from the Urbanization and Climate Ministerial at COP30. And I think it would be important for the roundtable to sort of continue that narrative thread and particularly anticipate what will be happening in what will hopefully be another ministerial at COP31 to ensure that there is both continuity but also progress between these moments to engage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. And now, even though we are running out of time for this session, but doesn't matter because it's the intention was to accumulate as many inputs as possible. Let me pass the floor to Ana Ferreira.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Ana Carolina from Mafra, a municipality from Portugal. From a local government perspective, I would like to highlight the importance of co-design urban policies with strong local ownership. Voluntary local review and participatory governance mechanisms have shown that powerful tools to be aligned with global agendas with local realities. For the WUF13, it's essential to reinforce multi-level governance in powerful municipalities and ensure that local knowledge and data effectively inform global urban discussions. It's very important to show solutions to address the global housing crisis through scalable and replicable city solutions. It's very important to show SDG aligned with investment, because I think the problem of the municipalities is how can we get the money to implement our projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ana. Thanks a lot. I pass the floor then to Juan Manuel Padín.
Hello, how are you? My name is Juan Padín. I'm the Undersecretary of International Relations of the province of Buenos Aires, and we are very pleased to participate for the first time in our case in the forum. So thank you for that. I think it is just important to highlight that, unfortunately, as you may know, the national government in Argentina has abandoned the 2030 agenda. So for us, it's really important, critical to participate in the forum. And well, we are, as I said, it is our first time. We're just reading the documents and all the data, the information to participate, because we have our own public at the provincial level agency for social and urban integration, and we will very happy just to share our experience in these fields and also to learn about the different experiences. I know there are many cities and regional governments here, so we will be glad to participate in the different instances. So thanks for the invitation, and we will be working together. Thank you.
Thank you, gracias, Juan. Gracias por conectarte también tan pronto desde Buenos Aires. Maybe we can pass the floor now to quickly to Matthew Bach.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll keep well within the 2 minutes. My name is Matthew Bach. I'm the Regional Director for Europe at ICLEI. Sorry, lots of ICLEI talking today. It's a real pleasure to be with you today, and thanks also for this really great engagement effort. I think it's really very meaningful when we talk about localization and urban development. It's also been a pleasure for me to be at a number of WUFs, and so we're looking forward then as ICLEI to being there as well. I want to talk specifically a little bit about Block 2, and at looking at in the current world how we can work together in strengthening multilateralism at the local level. And in this regard, I'd want to highlight the work that's being done through the Urban 7 as an engagement group to the G7, which will host a summit on the 2nd to 4th of June in Nancy, France, to which a number of broader countries will be invited, as an opportunity then to also bring this message, which is also so strong in the WUF and beyond, that we need more opportunities for cities to show what they're doing, to show how they create resilient, inclusive, and better housing as well, for example, for citizens across the world. So I think this is absolutely critical, that we keep expanding then the range of these avenues that we have. And I think the WUF is a great opportunity to bring all this together in a single conversation, but then of course to push it forward through other means as well, whether it's through the climate agenda or others. And then beyond that, the last small point I'd like to make is, given the topic is housing at WUF this year, I think it's important to highlight also the contributions that the European Union is making through the new action plan for affordable housing and the initiatives that they're taking in that regard, the financing models that are being put together. And so I think we all look forward from our side to help bring this conversation forward. And thank you also for this opportunity.
Thank you, Matthew. And I'll pass the floor to Rim Abu Samra.
Yeah.
Yes, Rim, I don't know if you have raised your hand, if you are connected or maybe muted. Otherwise, okay, maybe meanwhile. Oh, yes, fantastic. Please go ahead.
So hello, everyone. I'm Reem Abu Samra. I'm the International Relations Coordinator at UCLG MEWA, the regional section of UCLG for Middle East and West Asia. So actually, I wanted to talk to represent the region, the Middle East, which is, we all know that the region faces growing informal settlements and problem of housing, especially that the system around the region is like more too much centralized, and yet local governments are expected to respond, although the capacities are frequently constrained. And when we talk about like the representation of Middle East, we cannot ignore or like not mention the case of Palestine, which is like the core of housing crisis because of the occupation. The situation in Palestine represents one of the most severe realities of the housing crisis, and local authorities operate under occupation, facing land restriction for displacement and limited control over planning and development. So even like the local government leaders, they don't have this authority to for a change, but yet they are doing their best, and they have a very huge potential in Palestine to overcome this challenge. So what I wanted to say here, we really would like to see like more representation of the Middle East and the case of Palestine in this session, in the local government session, so that we can give them voice to talk about their challenges and how we can find like stronger multi-level governance, which is very important for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Shukran. And maybe we can, as we are running out of time, I would like to pass the floor to Maria del Mar Mozo, and then to Maren Lambrecht, and then to Masahiro Nishikawa, and then we will go to the next block, right? I'm still in a little bit, a couple of minutes from my colleague from UCLG, but it's very interesting. So please, Maria del Mar, then Maren, and then Masahiro, please. Maria.
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, my name is Maria. I'm from Cali, Colombia. I'm the Secretary of Housing and Habitat. And just being very brief, thank you for this space. And also, it will be great if we can show what locals are doing, what we are doing, what is being working in our communities, facing housing and all the settlements, and also how we can, with our solutions locally, can reach this the solutions for having more our policies implemented in the community. So what is what is working for our communities can be done mostly in other communities, and also can reach more people within the locals. So it will be great to have the time or the spaces for show what is working in Cali, for example, and to see what's working in other places in order to have these tools and implemented within the countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Maren Lambrecht.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Maren Lambrecht. I represent the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe in Strasbourg at this meeting. Normally, one of my colleagues, Irina, would have attended this meeting, but we are several to follow the WUF preparations. So I don't want to reiterate what's been said before. We agree with much of what's been said, and especially the role of multi-level engagement is very important. I think I have myself been engaged in major research work and preparing debates on housing for the Congress, and we have seen through our field work that local authorities will not be able to overcome the housing crisis themselves. They do need multi-level engagement and support from other levels of government. So that is something really important. I think what is really important on all these topics, including when we talk about resilience, is thinking out of the box, systematic thinking, systemic thinking throughout, and including key concepts like historic knowledge, community action, and youth participation, which haven't been mentioned yet. But we really need cross-cutting approaches here to overcome some of these problems, and that's what we have seen through several field visits. I think next to local action and national funding for housing projects, we definitely need more support for local cooperatives, people's self-help, because people locally know what they need and how they want to live, and that is something that we also try to promote. But yeah, agreeing with a lot of the concepts that have been mentioned this morning, and we'll be happy to contribute in a meaningful way. Thank you.
Thank you, Maren. Thanks a lot. And now pass the floor to Masahiro. Masa, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunities to speak, and thank you very much for the organizers to convene this workshop. So my name is Masahiro Nishikawa. I'm joining today from New York, representing the city of Yokohama through its Americas office. So I'd like to input to the block 2 from the city's perspective. So the role of the local government is to identify the local context, including the issues and the resources, what they can, we actually can mobilize. And in the Road to Baku framework, that we see the particularly strong alignment with the focus area 4, climate housing nexus, and focus area 5, the social and economic power of housing. So we have Japan's largest housing stock, about 1.9 million units. And at the same time, we face a rapid population aging and increasing vacant homes and rising housing costs for the younger generations. So in response, we are promoting the measures such as rent support for families with children and effective the use of vacant housing, viewing housing as the foundation for social inclusion and local economic vitalities. And on the climate side, Yokohama has been strengthening its transition toward circular cities, and we are tackling material reuse and circular design approaches. And while WUF is a vital platform for global discussion, I'm particularly interested in how other cities actually facilitate the city-to-city collaboration domestically and also regionally, and how we can deliver that kind of achievements to the global forums like World Urban Forum. So we are very have enjoyed working with ICLEI Japan and advancing the city-to-city collaboration of circular cities in Asia. So we're really interested in this kind of perspective. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Masa. Arigatou gozaimasu. Even though I'm not trying to wrap up, this is something will be on Sebastian's side afterwards, right? I'm passing this to for the second block to moderate to Anna from UCLG. I just wanted to mention that we are obviously taking note of everything that has been shared and everything that's been discussed, but we again encourage you to take part in the Road to Baku engagement process, because that is a fantastic opportunity to gather all these solutions and of course many others that you have in mind, and they are already implemented on the ground with impact, with transformation, right? And we really need them to bring together with the policy brief to WUF and to the outcomes of WUF, right? To the Baku Call for Action. So please do not hesitate to contact us, through colleagues from Global Task Force, directly from us, right? With us, because we really need all these consultations to happen and all these solutions to be showcased, right? So thank you very much. And Anna, if you might now take the lead in the second block. Thank you.
Thank you, Inigo. I hope you can hear me well. Perfect.
Yes.
So it's Ana Calvete Moreno, Head of Research at UCLG. It's a pleasure representing UCLG and the Global Task Force and working hand in hand with the Local 2030 colleagues in this powerful and very necessary meeting. So I would like now to move us from this block on planning the session to really unpacking the political messages that it needs to carry, no? Especially like what local governments and local and regional governments bring to their own communities, to the territories, and also to this national and global action. We know that you have a lot of very relevant thoughts to share here. Let me remind you of the questions. You can see them on the screen as well. So what specific role could regional and local governments play, and how they can effectively support actions at the national and regional levels? How the localized solutions address housing challenges, and in what ways do they contribute to strengthening the social contract and upholding human rights, with two terms that are being put on the spotlight in this critical moment globally? What are the key levers and opportunities for delivering tangible solutions and actions? What practices are working and why? And what are the ways in which local governments are navigating political turmoil and impacts of a changing climate? So many things have come up already from previous speakers. So we have heard, for example, about the importance of multi-level governance, of course, including different territorial levels, as Marin and Eva were mentioning, how multi-level governance requires mandates, so strong decentralized systems. Anna from Mafra Municipality was mentioning the importance of co-production, of ownership, particularly important also when national governments are abandoning their trust in these global agendas, right, as is happening in Argentina. We have heard about the need to keep connecting the different global agendas. Regarding housing, we have put on the table the importance of affordability, the importance also to keep discussing informal settlements. We have heard about nature, putting the climate, land, nature nexus on the agenda, the importance of talking about human rights, and the importance about focusing always on communities, right? Particularly when we talk about housing, where many initiatives we know are community-led and successful. So what can we also learn from them? And of course, with local governments as conveners of people's voices. So happy to moderate this block. The floor is open. I want to see a long list of future speakers as Inigo had. So please raise your hand and share your thoughts. Maybe in the meantime, We can give ideas on the importance of focusing on the what, but also on the how. So how we do all of this that we're saying in practice. So from, for example, moving from multi-level governance principle towards real action, like Eva from the Barcelona metropolitan area was mentioning the need to have stable, right, mechanisms, ensure the continuity of these mechanisms regardless of these changes in government. So yes, I can see the hands. Yes.
One hand, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see them. Thank you. So some ideas to start the conversation. I can see Sangru Dong. Please, if you can introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hi everyone. I'm Sangru Dong. I'm from FMDB, Global Fund for Cities Development. So I'm trying to bring some elements about financing to the table to this consultation. As FMDB, we're seeing a great opportunity coming from COP30 that there's a strong momentum for the having country platforms. And for now, we are pioneering the country platforms for localizing finance. It's to have a local chapter or an urban chapter in these kind of platform settings. And in these platforms is to have the local governments be the owner, the designer, and of the financing projects. And we're seeing this like a big opportunity also for the aspect of financing, housing financing. And we are now working with, in Africa, with Cameroon and Madagascar, with their associations of mayors and governors of local authorities. So yes, for this dialogue, for this roundtable, we are thinking that, of course, we can support to bring these kind of stakeholders to the table and to share their experience of how this kind of setup can work for them, for their cities and their programs that to have this kind of housing program that are resilient and sustainable. So kind of also connected to the dialogue from FFD4 and to the COP30. So yeah, we just want to bring this element to the table. And of course, FMDB is here to support on the financing aspect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sangru, for bringing the importance of finance and important finance arrangements for local government to the table, and for reminding us of the interconnectedness of the different global agendas. Let's move on now with Itaiza Hernández. Adelante. Please go ahead. We cannot hear you. Maybe you're muted.
I think it's a mic.
We can't hear you yet. Maybe we can give you a couple of seconds and we move on with the next speaker and come back to you. Thank you, Taisa. Ganas Shiam, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Please go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ghanshyam Giri, the Mayor of Chandragiri Municipality, Kathmandu, Nepal. The local and regional government can play a crucial role at national and regional level. So we are implementers. So implementers of housing and resilience solution on the ground, like a proximity to communities, ability to integrate housing with mobility services, livelihood, and climate actions. Let's say localized housing solution helps to improve access to basic service and lower exposure to climate risks, like by the ensure inclusion of women, youth, older persons, and persons with disabilities. And across both documents, the most important levels are integrated territorial planning, predictable and decentralized financing, and multi-level coordination mechanisms, knowledge exchange among LRGs, community-driven and climate-proof housing approach. So the document implementation show that responding to climate shocks with limited authorities and resources, and main thing is the maintaining service delivery during crisis, acting as stabilizing actor at the community level. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for reminding us of the importance of focusing on the different structurally discriminated populations, be it women, children, people with disabilities, and the note that we as policy actors, we need to create policies at all levels that understand and act upon the different needs and aspirations of all of these populations. Also, because I saw it at the beginning with a Mentimeter, Martino managed the importance of this knowledge dimension, right? How to share knowledge, how to capitalize on it. And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. We have, let's see if Itaiza Hernandez, let's see if it's working now. We can't hear you yet. No, not working. Maybe you want to share it in the chat and we'll try to read it out loud for you.
Not now. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Please go ahead.
Finally, it's fixed. Okay, first of all, I am part of the Agenda 2030 team for the government of the Canary Islands. I want to say thank you for this meeting. I want to talk about two things. First of all, you mentioned how the housing challenges and the solutions for it uphold human rights. For us, housing is a fundamental point to guarantee social development, and not only the access to housing, but also the access to decent housing. So for us, that's very important. And on the other hand, about the how the role that regional and local governments play for the national and regional levels. In the Canary Islands, we have 88 city councils and 7 island councils. So for us, the multi-level governance it is very important. And as we mentioned before, local and regional governments are the closest to the people and to their daily problems. So for us, it's very important not only to share what we are doing, but to know and to get in touch with what other island territories are doing, just to try to implement those solutions in our territory, and maybe be able to give the higher level governments the information to develop political solutions to this challenge, especially in territory limited territories. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Itaiza. Very important points on the relevance of bringing all levels of government together. Also, I was talking before about the different needs and aspirations and specificities of different population groups, but also, of course, of different territories like islands, like the Canary Islands. And yes, the importance also of scaling up these practices, right? So moving from best practices to identify those mechanisms that allow us to share and scale the solutions. I have Yves Zimmerman on the list. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello everybody. Hello Anna. Lots of friends here attending the session. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to share with you some our last action plan was released a few months ago. It was about urban planning, and especially with a One Health approach. As you know, cities have a set of rules to organize the buildings and the planning of the territory, and we renewed these rules with a One Health approach, which is delivered by the World Health Organization. And this action plan was set up by a group of local stakeholders, but also shared with a lot of 5 or 6 European other cities. And it could be interesting to share with other cities, for example, in the Global South, the way this approach, One Health approach, could be interesting for every kind of social issues, but also biodiversity issues, health issue for sure, and especially to build a new approach of the cities. Building new houses is very, very key, but it depends how we build it. And this is the know-how of this organization and these new buildings is very crucial with climate approach and biodiversity approach. It could be interesting to build these links also with a health approach. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing up the perspective on health and how it is affected by how we understand and how we deliver housing, basic services, urban spaces. This is a critical gap that hadn't come up yet in the conversation. So thank you very much for that. I'll move on with Eugenio Amato. Please go ahead.
Hello, thank you, Anna. Good morning, everybody. I am from Regions 4. We are part of the GTF. Work closely with most of the people here. Thank you for the invitation. I would like to bring up a factor from the regional level. So it's been more than 10 years since the adopting of Agenda 2030 that regions have been developing practices on SDG implementation, and we are working to put together all these practices into a structured framework which can act, we think, strengthening the institutional capacity of regions to integrate all the issues, so connecting housing to climate adaptation, nature-based solutions, mobility. So what I want to highlight here is that the role of regions, from our point of view, is the opportunity to be a connecting element between national policies, financial capacity, local action from municipalities, and the action from all the local actors that compose civil society, the private sector, the academia. We think regions are in the position to be the connecting element of all these aspects through a strong SDG implementation framework, which includes elements like a strategy, a monitoring system, a mechanism to involve local actors, and to strengthen multi-level coordination between policies and to ensure policy coherence for sustainable development. We have a project about this called Regions for SDGs. Most of you know it. It's together with UN Habitat. If you want to have a look, that might come in handy for some of the work that all of you are doing, and we will be happy to support the WUF work. So thank you.
Thank you, Eugenio. Very important points on coordination, again, knowledge, capacity building, and let's see how we can make this WUF and this roundtable to be precisely the spaces that connect all of these elements and all of these stakeholders. I have John Cacandelwa next on the list. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to contribute on the first block where we are talking about regional and local government. How can they play effectively to support actions on the ground? First of all, my name is John Kakanderwa. I'm from Zambia. Like here in Zambia, what is happening is that during the rain season, we find that houses are submerged in water due to lack of proper planning in terms of housing, and that is really affecting people in terms of outbreak of cholera, and recently we had recorded a number of children dying as a result of water. So I think for the governments and to be able to effectively support these actions, they must assist in terms of planning, planning of where people should build their houses and what kind of houses they should build, putting in mind of the floods, of the waters, because people are building houses in the places where water passes. So eventually when a lot of water comes, there's that conflict and houses are washed away and it becomes a burden to the government. So I propose that government should really help in terms of planning for housing in especially in urban towns and also even in rural. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, for bringing up the relevance of water and of climate as conditioning the lives and the dignity of people as well, and the importance of local, national governments to act upon it. I have another person on the list. It's Darby Gunden. Please go ahead. And if there's no one else, we will wrap up this segment of the session after Darby.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm from South Africa and I work in a local municipality, a metropolitan municipality called Buffalo City in the Eastern Cape. But one of the things that we find in terms of housing needs, majority of the housing needs are provided by the national government, of course, for the poor in society. And then you have the more affluent sort of societies, able to access bank loans and those sort of funding sources. But there's a major gap in between those, the very poor and the affluent, where you can afford housing versus you can't afford housing. And there's a bracket, especially professionals, there's a certain income that you have to earn to be within those brackets to access funding from government or private institutions. And that has become a problem, I think, for people to be able to own their own houses. So they end up renting, and of course that goes on for a while, and yet they want to own property. And of course, South Africa's historical past. So I'm not sure how other countries are dealing with that, but financing houses, housing for the groups that actually fall within the cracks, that is something that I think is probably a universal problem, probably. So maybe that's something we could actually look at, if possible. I think that will be great, because we're going to election year as well. It's nice to have some good solutions, for how do you house people, but that's the biggest need in most countries, actually. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks, Darby. And I think this tension, right, between the market forces and the social expectations and the care that we need to deliver to our peoples are really important, and they need to be dealt with, like from the highest level of government to the lowest one, the closest one to the people and the territories. I don't see anyone else on the list with the hands raised, so I might want to get back to the Master of Conferences, Marta Rodó.
Thank you, Anna.
It's been a pleasure moderating this segment, co-moderating it with Inigo, and really happy to have participated in this session.
Thank you, Anna, and of course, thanks for joining and for being part of this co-moderation and for co-organizing with us this consultation. Thanks also for everyone that has participated today in all your valuable contributions. We just also put in the chat some of our emails. So please, if you have any other input to share with us, do not hesitate in doing so. Now I would like to pass the floor to Sep for kickstarting the closing remarks. So over to you, Sep. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Thanks to every one of you that participated. We were 100 and something at the peak. Thank you so much. And for the sake of time, I will be quick before handing over to Emilia from UCLG and the Global Task Force for her closing remarks. I just want to acknowledge the wide participation today, indeed, with We heard directly from local governments, elected officials, and others from Nigeria, Zambia, Eastern Cape, Mapfre, Chandagiri, Buenos Aires, Yokohama, Canary Islands, and maybe I forgot some. So from a wide range and with a geographical balance that really gives a global perspective to this consultation. We also heard from global networks, indeed, UCLG, ICLEI, FMDV, Region 4, that are part of the global task force that are co-organizing this coalition, and also the Council of Europe. So many different stakeholders engaged, you all engaged in making this participatory process possible, and also in empowering local and regional governments. And going back to what I was opening with, I really think that this local and regional governments empowerment, not only for the WUF13, but as a constant process of dialogue and participation in shaping global agendas, using this 2026 special year of cities with the new urban agenda, the WUF13, the SDG 11 in review, etc. A big year for cities and region, using it to ramp up this empowerment and this participation of local and regional governments is really a way to respond to the global context and to a demand that is raising from member states, from United Nations entities, from all different local development stakeholders to see more local level, to see more local impact, to respond more closely to local priorities. And this is what you make possible within a bottom-up approach, with a territorial approach that is multi-level. Many of you mentioned the need to articulate with national policies and with global agendas, and that is multi-stakeholders. You also mentioned civil society, private sector, academia, youth, etc. And you are catalyzing as local and regional governments this wide engagement articulated with national level and looking at shaping global agendas. So thank you for making today one more milestone in this way up towards always more empowerment and a constant dialogue amongst multiple levels, including local and regional governments as key stakeholders. Thank you again, and I end with this and pass the floor to Emilia for our closing remarks. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Greetings to the whole team of Local 2030. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you from the very beginning, but I have been able to hear the last a small hour, and it is a great pleasure to see the involvement and the response from our constituency to such a great event like the World Urban Forum. And I say it very conscious of the difficulties that multilateralism is going through, of the difficulties that cooperation and international connections and relations are going through. We are in a moment where the world is changing, and it gives us a lot of hope and fresh air to see how our organized constituency, the networks, but also elected officials everywhere take the World Urban Forum at heart. And why not say it as well, localization? We are one of those constituencies that is still very attached to Agenda 2030, despite the difficulties that the agenda is facing, both politically and in compliance. And I think you have here the diehards of localization. So for once, Sebastian and team, I think we need to celebrate that. And it tells a lot of good about what is going to happen in the World Urban Forum. From the perspective of the organized constituency, the Global Task Force, and obviously my own organization, United Cities and Local Governments, as facilitator, the World Urban Forum is happening within those 100 days of local multilateralism, where our constituency is saying to the world, we need multilateralism. It starts locally, and it actually starts with local service provision, and many of the topics that we are going to be seeing in the World Urban Forum. And we have seen from the different interventions related to the different spheres of government that will come together, the territorial approach that needs to be seen at the World Urban Forum, but also the relevance of the key theme around housing. One of the greatest crises that we go through as humanity, together with climate change and the backlash in rights, in human rights, very connected with all the other topics of the agenda. And the proposal from the organized constituency is to ensure that we will give visibility to that, not only by ensuring that local governments can be present in the different tables that will be taking place at WUF, but also that our World Assembly of Local and Regional Governments is a good place to articulate that vision from local governance. So we are very keen to facilitate the process, to continue consulting our constituency, obviously to all of the members of the Global Task Force that have been here today following these conversations. Extremely grateful for the time that is devoted to that, and hopefully we will bring this consultation to our annual meeting of the Global Task Force that is taking place in Barcelona during the week of the 23rd of February, so in a couple of days. Our commitment, our resolve to continue working in this and making an important link between this very strong and relevant thematic agenda that local and regional governments bring to the World Urban Forum, with the broader political vision that we need a networked multilateralism, where the report of the UN Secretary General framed within Chapter 55 of the Pact of the Future finds a way into concrete actions, mechanisms, and solutions. So our commitment and resolve are there. I think we have all the ingredients, dear Sebastian and colleagues. Count on the Global Task Force to continue pushing for networked multilateralism that can actually impact the day-to-day lives of people, like the mayors in this call have been trying to put through. Thank you very much. First the World Urban Forum and then Tangier, part of those 100 days of multilateralism, where we hope to celebrate that 10th anniversary of the new urban agenda as well. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Emilia, and thanks, Seb, for the closing remarks. Well, just to mention that for us, it's a pleasure to count on the GTF and UCLG as a long-standing partner, and we look forward for all the joint engagement that will come in the upcoming days, as you were mentioning. So, colleagues, with that, I think it's time to close the meeting. We are not that late. So I would like to thank you all for joining. Thanks for joining all the process that we are doing together. For us, having you as partners and to work with you, it's critical. So let's continue working together on the upcoming months. And thanks again. We will come back to you with an outcome document of this session and on an update roadmap of the engagement activities that will follow. Thanks again and see you soon. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Adiós. Gracias.
Thank you.